On October 12, 2025, the West Philippine Sea was deceptively calm. The first rays of sunlight painted the horizon in soft gold, casting a peaceful glow over the water. But beneath this tranquil surface, tension simmered, an uneasy quiet before the day's unfolding drama. That morning, a Philippine resupply mission made its way toward Thitu Island, known locally as Pag-asa, a remote outpost that stands as a living symbol of Philippine sovereignty in the contested Spratly Islands. The convoy's journey was more than routine, it was a lifeline for the small Filipino community and military personnel stationed on the island. The mission's objective was clear: deliver vital supplies, food, water, medicine, and equipment to those holding the line at the edge of Philippine territory. For the residents and soldiers of Pag-asa, these shipments are not just necessities, but reminders that they are not forgotten by their country. Yet, in these contested waters, nothing is ever truly routine. Every voyage carries the weight of uncertainty, and every crew member knows the risks that come with defending their nation's claim. As the convoy, led by the BRP Gabriela Silang, drew closer to Thitu, tension mounted. White hulls soon appeared on the horizon, China Coast Guard vessels, larger and more numerous, moving to intercept and form a blockade. Their presence was unmistakable, a show of force, meant to challenge the Philippine mission. The Chinese ships shadowed the Filipinos, blaring warnings over loudspeakers and issuing radio messages demanding the convoy turn back, insisting they were trespassing in what China claimed as its own waters. The air crackled with tension as each side held its ground, but the Filipino captains and their crews remained resolute. With steady hands and unwavering resolve, they held their course, refusing to be intimidated or deterred by the larger Chinese vessels. Journalists aboard the ships captured every moment, their cameras rolling as the standoff escalated. This was more than a maritime dispute. It was a test of national will, a confrontation watched by the world. China's so-called gray zone tactics, coercion and intimidation just short of open conflict, were on full display. The Chinese ships executed close passes and aggressive maneuvers, aiming to demoralize the Filipinos and assert dominance without firing a shot. In response, the Philippine government, led by President Marcos Jr., chose a strategy of assertive transparency. Officials released footage of the encounter to the international media, exposing China's actions and rallying support from allies and the global community. For the Philippines, this mission was both a logistical necessity and a powerful statement. They would not be pushed out of their own waters. The sight of the Philippine flag waving defiantly on the convoy's lead ship sent a clear message of determination and national pride. As the world's eyes turned to the West Philippine Sea, the tension mounted. The outcome of this standoff would echo far beyond these waters, shaping the future of the region and the resolve of a nation determined to stand its ground. Suddenly, the tense standoff in the West Philippine Sea erupted into chaos and violence, shattering the uneasy calm that had hung over the waters for hours. The world watched as the situation spiraled out of control, with both sides bracing for the worst. Without warning, a China Coast Guard ship unleashed powerful water cannons on the Philippine supply boat Unaiza Mai 4. The force of the blasts shattered the bridge windows, sending shards of glass flying and forcing the crew to duck for cover as torrents of water swept across the deck. The attack was relentless, designed to intimidate and disable the vessel, but the Filipino sailors held their ground, desperately maneuvering to keep the boat afloat and on course. As if the water cannon assault wasn't enough, another Chinese vessel suddenly rammed the BRP Sindangan, scraping its hull with a sickening crunch of metal. The impact left visible scars on the ship's side and brought the very real risk of disaster. One wrong move could have led to a catastrophic sinking in these contested waters. These were not isolated acts of aggression. Instead, they were part of a series of calculated escalations, a pattern of increasingly bold and dangerous maneuvers by Chinese maritime forces. Each incident seemed designed to test the resolve of the Philippine crews and to send a message to the world. Time and again, Chinese ships cut dangerously close across the bows of Filipino vessels, forcing the crews to make split-second decisions to avoid catastrophic collisions. The tension on the bridge was palpable, as every maneuver could mean the difference between safety and disaster. Despite the chaos and the constant threat of violence, the Philippine crews pressed on. Battered by water cannons and shaken by near misses, they showed remarkable determination and courage, refusing to be intimidated or turned back by overwhelming odds. Against all odds, the supply boat managed to break through the blockade, skillfully navigating the gauntlet of hostile ships to deliver its vital cargo to Thitu Island. The successful run was a testament to the crew's skill and bravery, ensuring that the remote outpost would not be isolated or starved into submission. It was a small but significant victory, a powerful show of courage and defiance in the face of overwhelming pressure. The crew's relief was palpable as they celebrated their hard-won success, knowing they had stood their ground for their country. Around the world, people watched the unfolding drama, witnessing the Philippines' determination not to be cowed by force. The story of resistance and resilience captured global attention, sparking debates about international law and the rights of smaller nations. At stake was more than just a single mission. The principle of a free and open sea was on the line. The outcome would help shape the future of maritime freedom, not just for the Philippines but for all nations that value peace and the rule of law on the world's oceans. Manila swiftly condemned China's actions as illegal and dangerous. Commodore J. Tariela of the Philippine Coast Guard called the use of water cannons and ramming a grave violation of international law. President Marcos Jr. vowed not to yield an inch of territory, urging global condemnation of China's disregard for rules. Beijing, in turn, accused the Philippines of illegal intrusion and claimed its own restraint. Manila released video evidence, exposing the reality of China's aggression and contradicting Beijing's denials. The footage went viral, sparking outrage and international solidarity. The Philippines grounds its claims in international law, UNCLOS, while China clings to its vague 9-dash line. These irreconcilable positions fuel ongoing clashes and diplomatic standoffs. The West Philippine Sea remains a permanent theater of tension. Thitu Island is the heart of the Philippines' presence in the Spratlys, home to a civilian community and a strategic outpost. Its proximity to Sandy Cay, a cluster of sandbars within Thitu's territorial sea, makes the area a flashpoint. China has surrounded Sandy Cay with militia vessels, seeking to seize control and isolate Thitu. If China builds on these sandbars, it could cut off Thitu and challenge Philippine sovereignty. The October 12th confrontation was about more than resupply. It was about asserting rights near Sandy Cay. China's blockade aimed to enforce de facto control and deny the Philippines access. The waters around Thitu are now among the most dangerous in the South China Sea. The risk of escalation is ever present. Filipino fishermen were the first to face China's expansion in the West Philippine Sea. For generations they fished these waters. Now, they're chased, harassed, and sometimes attacked by Chinese vessels. Many have lost income and been forced to abandon traditional grounds. Yet, they persist, becoming symbols of resistance and sharing their stories with the world. The government now escorts fishing convoys, providing protection and asserting sovereignty. These solidarity missions are both practical and symbolic. By supporting its fishermen, the Philippines reinforces its rights at sea. The fishermen's courage is a quiet but powerful act of defiance. The October 2025 clash is part of a pattern. China's gray zone tactics have grown more aggressive. What began as shadowing has escalated to swarming, ramming, and the use of lasers and water cannons. Incidents have tripled since 2022, with China's Coast Guard acting with impunity. The goal: normalize Chinese control, exhaust Filipino resistance, and avoid outright war. These actions remain below the threshold of armed conflict, making international response difficult. But the risk of miscalculation is rising. One deadly incident could trigger the US-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty. China is betting others will back down first. Each confrontation pushes the region closer to the brink. The Philippines is not alone. A coalition of allies has rallied to its side. The US, under the Mutual Defense Treaty, has clarified its commitment to defend Philippine vessels in the South China Sea. Joint patrols, intelligence sharing, and military aid have increased. Japan and Australia have provided patrol vessels and conducted joint exercises. European powers have sent ships and issued strong statements supporting the arbitral ruling. This international support amplifies Manila's voice and imposes reputational costs on China. The dispute is now a global concern, not just a bilateral issue. The Philippines, emboldened by allies, continues to push back. The October 12th showdown near Thitu Island highlights the fragile peace in the West Philippine Sea. This incident is just one of many recent confrontations that have brought the region to the brink of crisis, underscoring how quickly tensions can escalate in these contested waters. One misstep could ignite a conflict with global consequences. The world's eyes are fixed on this flashpoint, where a single error or misunderstanding could spiral into a much larger confrontation, drawing in neighboring countries and even global powers. China's refusal to follow international law and its escalating tactics have made the region perilous. Its Coast Guard and maritime militia continue to push boundaries, challenging not only the Philippines but also the international community's resolve to uphold the rules-based order at sea. The Philippines, under Marcos Jr., has shifted to assertive defiance, leveraging alliances and exposing China's actions. By strengthening ties with the United States, Japan, and other partners, Manila is sending a clear message: it will not back down in defending its rights and sovereignty. The struggle is about more than territory. It's a contest between rule of law and rule by force. For ordinary Filipinos, especially fishermen whose livelihoods depend on these waters, the outcome will determine their future and security. The outcome will shape freedom of navigation and the future of the Indo-Pacific. Trillions of dollars in trade pass through these waters each year, making stability here vital not just for the region, but for the entire world economy. Strength and diplomacy are both needed. Deterrence and dialogue must go hand in hand. Only through a combination of military readiness and persistent negotiation can lasting peace and stability be achieved. The world must insist that China uphold the laws it has pledged to follow. International pressure, legal rulings, and public opinion all play a role in holding powerful nations accountable for their actions. The Philippines' stand is a test for the 21st century. Will law or power prevail at sea? The answer will set a precedent for how disputes are resolved, not just here, but in contested waters around the globe. The world is watching, and the stakes could not be higher. The decisions made today will echo for generations, shaping the destiny of the West Philippine Sea and the broader Indo-Pacific region.